Hey guys, we haven't done one of these in a while for the flipped classes. We're gonna try to get back into the habit of doing these because we are really having to roll now that we're a few days behind. But to get back into this, where we're at now is we're going into the Great Depression. This video is going to cover essentially the stock market crash and the first years of the Great Depression while we're under Herbert Hoover. Later, when we get FDR, we're going to split that off. He's got a whole new brand of domestic policies that we're going to know as the New Deal. There's going to be a separate one solely focused on the New Deal. But we're looking at the stuff before that, before FDR comes into office. So we're talking 1929 to 1933, really. But the reason why the Great Depression is so stark, one, it is a big economic deal. It's a huge bout of unemployment and just a really bad economic slowdown for an extended period of time. That's the one difference between a depression and a recession. Recession is usually short term. Right? Technically, the recession that we had in 2008 ended 09, 10. It's just that the economic recovery, the upswing, has been slow, very slow. But the bad economy had ended in 2 years. The depression, it's much longer. 10 years is a good estimate of how long the economy goes down and just pretty much stays down. Um, and it hits us from out of nowhere because in the 1920s, it's known as the Roaring Twenties. It's a time of huge economic prosperity in the United States and cultural flourishing. We've got jazz music, everybody's got money, everybody's buying cars. It's just a happy-go-lucky time, right, for everybody except for the farmers, and we'll mention that a little bit later. But the cities are growing. There's all this vibrancy and movement because economic good times. And this is driven by a few things. The first is the effects of World War One. World War One, we are not talking about a supply and demand economy. We're just producing and producing and producing. Right? That's really good because um, there's no ceiling to how much we can make. As long as the resources are there, we're going to continue to make bullets and continue to make tanks. After the war, we don't demobilize that well. We don't slow down our factories. We convert them back to making cars and making radios and all those things, but we still maintain high levels of production, which is good until we overproduce. Then it becomes really bad. We've got a larger economy now. We still have our labor force. England, France, Germany, theirs trashed. Germany only has half of its economic output. France has had so many of their own people killed, plus that those farm areas where the trenches were, they are going to take a little while to get back to normal. England has had a ton of casualties. We have the assembly line in process now, which means we can produce and produce and produce. And we have a bull market. If you think back to economics, I'm not sure if you learned this last year, there's a bull and a bear market. A bull market, think of the horns on the bull. Let me try to get myself in the picture here. It means the economy's going up. Bear claws pointing down. Bear market is a bad stock market. We've got a prolonged bull market. Everybody's making money in the stock market. So more people are going to invest in it. Advertising. This is probably the one thing Americans are very skilled at. We're great salesmen. Right? We can sell anything. And people are going to start buying into that. Before this, people aren't. And really, what advertising does, advertising, you're only going to have advertising when you've overproduced and you need to offload stuff. Plus, it's stuff that isn't a need. You're not going to have many commercials about water. Now, you may have some with a specific type of bottled water or filter, but just basic water, it's cheap. Everybody knows they need it. You don't need to advertise it for it. But we're creating a false demand. And then credit. Right? we're not talking about credit cards just yet. We're talking about going to the store and saying, hey, can I get this on credit? And they're saying, yeah, getting a house, a loan from the bank, a loan for a car. That's what I'm talking about with credit here. People are borrowing money to buy products that they would not have done earlier. So next one we got causes of the stock market crash. That overproduction we mentioned. This is just going to be a preview page. We're going to get more into it in the next couple slides. Laissez-faire economics, that fancy, and there should be an E on laissez-faire. I'll go back and fix that in a little bit. Fraud, just outright fraud, just lying to people. Uneven income distribution. If the rich people have all the money, it's actually going to hurt the economy. Over speculation, too many people in the stock market. And the easy credit, we already mentioned. Decline in agriculture, like I said, the farmers are not doing well in the 1920s. Decline in foreign trade, and then also the German reparations from World War I are going to hurt everybody's economy essentially. Overproduction. Since we got those assembly lines, we're just churning out stuff more and more and more. It's going to satiate the market. Everybody's got a car. Nobody's buying another car, but the companies have already produced them, so they're eating that money. They're going to start laying off workers and then closing down plants. So that's going to be a bad thing. Businesses are going to have that money paid into the products that they've already made, but they can't sell them now. So that's definitely a bad deal. In 2008, they had so many big trucks and SUVs, they couldn't offload them. They couldn't give them away. When I bought my truck in 2008, I basically got it half off because they were just trying to get rid of them. The week before, they were trying to sell you the truck and get in a car for free, right? Because they had overpriced them, overproduced them, overpriced them, and now they just had to get rid of them. Another thing in the 1920s, one of the reasons why we have such an upswing in the economy is we have 3 Republican presidents who are committed to laissez-faire policies. Hands off. We're not getting involved in the economy. So you can do whatever you want to do. Cut wages, whatever you need to do to stay competitive, do it. Which is good for the businesses, good for the economy, until things start to fall apart. Then you kind of need the government to help stop it. So you got Coolidge. His idea is the chief business of the American people is business, so the government is not going to stand in the way of the businesses. Fraud. Well, one of the problems with the laissez-faire is that the government is not going to step in and stop some of the fraud that's going on. That's probably best example is the Teapot Dome scandal, where the Department of the Interior, in a backdoor deal, gives away land, our oil reserves that are there for times of war. If we need our ships to be able to sail on the ocean, they need gas, they need oil. But we're in a midnight deal, they're going to sell off that land to somebody else. And you've got graft, we've been over graft before. And then you have some companies that are posting phony earnings reports. They want more people investing in their company, but to do that, they've got to make sure that their company looks like it's doing well, at least on paper. So they fudge the numbers. Because some of those companies are posting phony earning reports, and there is this idea that the stock market is a safe place to put your money long term, people are going to start buying stocks more and more often. Remember, we have that bull market, and that bull market's been going on for a while now. So people believe if you put your money in the stock market, you're always going to get a return. You're always going to get that money back. So it's like free money. You got something lying around, you just throw it in there, and then magically, 5 years later, you've made buku's money. People are going to start to do something very dangerous. They're going to start to buy on margin, where they're going to be buying or taking out loans to buy stocks. If you think about it, if you lose money on a stock and you've borrowed that money, not only have you lost the money in the stock, but you still owe money to the bank. So that's kind of crazy. But people are doing it because they feel safe with the stock market, it being as safe as anything else at the time. And this cartoon right here, it just kind of explains it. With over speculation, the problem is you have too many people in the stock market. So when somebody hears to buy a stock, it's just going to get really, really loud, and everybody's going to get crazy, and it's going to cause a pack mentality to buy or sell something. So things can change very rapidly. And we're borrowing a lot of stuff. Right? Before this, people had feared going into debt because their houses and their farms could be taken away from them. But again, this is a safe economy. They don't think they have anything to worry about, and they're trying to keep up the Joneses too. So if the guys beside you got a brand new car, you've got to take out a loan to get a car too to keep up with your social status. And this is what I mentioned earlier, the buying on margin. People are borrowing money to buy stocks. Stocks don't always return your investment. Right? Even if they did return your investment, sometimes it's not going to get enough to cover the loan because that loan's going to have interest on it too. So in 1929, we're going to have more money in the stock market than we actually have cash in circulation. Huge risk for everybody. We're also going to decline in agriculture. People have invested in machinery, if I can speak, invested in machinery, mainly in World War I, right? You're thinking about this. We need to get those troops food. We need to get a lot of that because we're not only supplying ourselves but also our allies. So farmers have taken out loans to mechanize, to get machines, to get tractors. Now they're producing much more crops, but everybody is. So if you have a huge uptick in production, you're going to have a drop in price. And sometimes the prices don't work out, and farmers, even though they're more productive, actually are losing money because the price that you can sell your crops at market has dropped so low. You're going to have more people lose their farms. Decline in foreign trade. Germany owes those reparations to England and France. They can't pay it. Right? We step in under the Dawes Plan. Right? What we decide to do is we want to try to make as much money off of this as possible. We're going to help Germany out, but at a cost. We're the banker here. Right? We're going to loan Germany the money to pay England and France off. And here's the reason why. England and France, a lot of the money that they owe for bullets, for Maxim machine guns, for all these things they bought from the United States, or they borrowed money to buy from the United States. They owe that money to mainly American companies or to the United States itself. So we're basically loaning Germany to pay off those loans so we can get that money back. But after that, Germany also owes us money plus interest. So this is a great plan for us as long as Germany can continue to make the payments. Guess what? Germany can't make the payments anymore, and the entire thing falls to pieces. Right? Once our economy starts to stumble, we're going to try to pass tariffs to protect our economy. Hawley-Smoot tariff is going to be the main one. Right? The problem with this, it will protect our factories. It will protect our economy from imports. But the other countries around the world are going to pass retaliatory tariffs on our imports into their country, our exports into their country. So it's going to hurt our export business, which is going to be a problem for our economy. So there's really no way for us to get around it. 1929 rolls around and the crash happens. Right? That's not good at all. Right? So it's just going, we're going to have little rallies, but it's going to be a downward trend. Hoover is the president at the time. We're going to have bank runs. Everybody's going to run to the bank because the stock market is not a safe place to put your money. They've invested this, or they put this money into their savings accounts. Problem is, banks loan that money out. And the people who they've loaned the money out to, they don't have the money to pay it off. So when people come to withdraw their money from the bank, there's no money there. The bank closes. Everybody's money is gone. Huge issue. So people are going to turn to different people to try to make things work. Bread lines pop up, soup kitchens pop up, a lot of charities helping out, but it's going to be too little for too many. I'm going to stop right here. We'll pick up the Dust Bowl in a second.